Welcome to the spoken world, the living word, the dream deferred, reverse return back to the original path for whites, for browns, for blacks, for greens. Feel me? 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to the spoken world, unspoken heard, unfocused blurred, a bird, a beauty, the suit, the truth, the muse of mine, you are divine. Feel me? Welcome to the spoken world, the living word, the dream deferred, reverse return back to the original path for whites, for browns, for blacks, for greens. Feel me? Welcome to the spoken world, unspoken heard, unfocused blurred, a bird, the youth, the suit, the truth, the muse of mine, you are divine. Feel me?
Today, I heard your heartbeat, and it hit me right at my knees and buckled me. I lost my legs. I am trying to find them again. Looking in familiar places, I begin with language, my blood.
Birthing you is my process too, you know. I know you have an intrinsically intimate relationship with your mother, but your dad didn't check out when you were in the womb.
And you probably feel all the stress I've been putting your mother through. But heartbeat, please realize that a brother be feeling stressed too. And blessed too.
Go. Heartbeat, you are now walking down the door of mortality, talking about guess who gotta do some walking around here. Cause all that squawking, I will no longer do.
Heartbeat. These are my tools. Verbal music and movement in 12 movements. I wonder how fast your heart beat when you ran away, Pop. My very first heartbeat, your feet moved quickly. Ran as far as you can. Can you imagine? As strong as my heartbeat, the faster, the further you moved your feet, the faster you ran away. And I ran too. When I realized you was running, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna run too. I tried to be that tough dude who didn't need you. I told everybody I was cool, even though I was crying with every step I took away from you. I wonder how fast your heart beat when you ran away, Dad. Guilty as charged. If you're gonna be a father, or a daddy, or a leader, if you just keep running fast enough, they might forget the whole thing an accident at your feet. The blessing sent to get you free, to wash away the me from your life. Another running man, another black man, quickly running away from her. Black faces castrated for the world to see, and I wonder what part of this lynching will you say for your masterpiece. Every day begins with a black man on the run. always standing guard in case anyone tries to get too close like you. I've learned how to run, to remain free, to keep my feet moving.
You know, ever since I chose over school, I feel I have to prove to my father that most of me is still worth something. And we don't speak much. Seems I'm just as stubborn as he is. So bull-headed in our razor-bladed rebellions, in our single-minded pulses. And we put on a show shit cause neither him or I do feelings well. I'm a spitting image, a spittled imitation, saliva replication, an expectorating copy of Poppy. But how can I expectorate a copy of a man that's really not me? See, Poppy, his own block, imprisoned, and I'm a chip off the old block, but different. I ain't just a spitting image, I'm an image spitting. His bars is in his heart, but mine's is in the writtens. And hip-hop was populous. It was easier to pop locks than to pop shots, but Pop never pop lock, he just got locked. So when Pop, I popped off at the mouth, popped in the mixtape and started spitting, wilting in this cool hot of my father's disconnection. It was always like playing call and response with pen and pad, as if it were dad. Papa's never listened, stop and never listened. Papa's never listened, stop and never listened. Hip-hop eliminated, stop eliminated. Everything I got reciprocated through lines of written. Basically, I had the jot and pen and paper lines with them. I paid, I found that I cannot begin to stay the high if I don't have a pop. And suddenly, I don't feel like writing anymore. Because when the smoke is exposed and the blue hoax of we cool, we living, spitting, shucking jive of infected lies with our gun-tight smiles and our heavy-handed pride. And don't expect me to show you no finish line. My pop ain't hand me no bones down. Don't be surprised in my life. You gotta make it on your own now. I mean, you's grown now, ain't you? And it's just that shit that made me feel 3/4 bastard, 4th matchstick. Made me forget how to practice being a son.
Son, this is to sever the cycle. Our story, remade in your flesh. Living words, a spoken world, so you will never have to guess about why I might choose to be absent.
Nothing will disrupt my principles like the scent of potential sex. Striding through the summer heat beneath my window. A black widow. Wisdom grown ripe in my Eden orchard. Sweet torture. Okay, so I was committed to another woman. An Ailey dancer in perpetual flight. My night come to life, my light. I told her my stars and foundation were in order, but I lied. I ain't even sensed the shift. Abandoned the present for what seemed to be a pre-sent gift. And baby, nothing will fuck up a man's principles like the scent of potential sex striding through the summer heat. Unless, of course, that man's principles happen to be arranged in such a way that it wouldn't even occur to him to cheat. But for real, I ain't met that dude yet. And her crescent moon eyes flipped my earth, made me rise with dusk and dusty rows of sunset syncopated in six. I'd like to think it was more than the scent of sex. I sought the sis on the side like Similac to simulate real live love, but without the strings, without all the little shit that complicate things like commitment. And hey, we two adults, both with it, knew trouble when I saw it, and entered it. And man, I don't know if it was the red wine or the Sienna lights, but for a moment, I swear to you all, I saw God that night. I'm not talking about an old white man with a big gray beard sitting on a throne in the clouds. I am talking about God. She, first flap of blood-red butterfly wings, still cocoon damp flight in first warm spring wind. God, for a moment, I imagined there was no will, only an openness to what will be. Acquiescence. Our only choice is degree of consciousness by which we consummate what God has already seen. Like a fated love or tender recurring dream dreamt 3 nights in each lifetime, your lifeline's most peaceful sleep. I imagine she left her will behind and I had no choice in this. In the beginning, there was light. And our ships have been crossing in the dark night ever since. Spirits elliptic in orbit and axis, a season whose time has come again like autumn following summer. You could feel our embrace on the evening wind. But in truth, it was just us two, black and blue, indulgent in summer heat, tempted by what lay beneath and taboo. In reaching out to be held close by someone new, arriving through the summer heat into one another's arms just in time. But black folks can't never be on time. So, no surprise when she tells me she's late.
So, it is 5 months into a pregnancy and she's emailed me this scanned image of her sonogram. Sonic waves fashioned into the shape of a sun. And what I'm seeing is sound. My senses transformed by this image of a boy floating, buoyantly drifting, and the hold of my immaturity slipping away, because it is now a he. And I'm scared shitless. I'm nearly 28, the cosmic age of Saturn's return. Karmic retributions await like economic reparations my ancestors have earned. And I feel like it's beginning over, beginning with this image of blue sound, heartbeat profound. I printed the email out and it's sitting now peacefully on my lap. A son. And you know, I've never been a woman. that has to be a story within itself. This being, I spent my whole life seeing a brown boy's day to come. And before they turn 18, too many brown boys' lives already done. Brown boy, fear. Brown boy, step aside. We don't want you here, brown boy. Respect those who respect you, brown boy. Live your life knowing the mainstream world only respects a few brown boys, and this will never be tolerated as an excuse. Guilty until proven innocent, demonized. You stand accused, but you stand firm like sacred ground, brown boy. And supposed to be teaching you these things? I mean, how many brown boys left to be taught by the wilderness? Destiny hung, hinged, a doorway to death, your life, great white fetish, hyped and hexed. Do I tell you these things right away, brown boy? 5 months into the womb, and we have been hunted for so long, my son. Will you be hunted too? Brown boy meet up with one of his partners, take a second to hang. The law quick to label them as a gang of brown boys. And you know, I don't know if we're chasing our dreams, or we're running from the police, but all this running can't be just about a race of brown boys. Though there is no finish line, consumed by the condition of the race, by the land of the free, by the blood of the slave, for these young black men. But son, it is 2006, right? Bed-Stuy, cool, sweating, blood red heat, thick waves of hot air budding, sticky, hot air oven, stuck in summer, succulent sun, whispering on my neck for respect. And I'm on my way to the store, and out of the cold door of nowhere, like most times in the cold glare of Brooklyn, a shot rang. My body drops. And he's 16. That's only in reference to the shooter, whose victim was a brown-skinned 22er, stuck in the age where most men become losers, or rather choosers, making a decision to or not to be living in the system, whose mission is to imprison those in prisons, or those who live in the blind blood of resistance. It ain't that we're stupid. It's that we got more rumble than they're used to. We lions blood, son. We warm sword, Jim Bay eyes, and blue moon Hutus who's forced to dance, got guns wrapped and watch YouTube. Disillusion to the ghetto's institution, bamboozled, cause really there ain't no right face for black. And despite our rights, we are left to face the facts that our skin just don't translate well here. And well, yeah, all that chump and slap and time shift and slap generation gap is existing. And there ain't too many my age living. And as the years grow, my peers don't. And it's fucked up, yo. The person that they shot and put on the news today was my friend. And it's true. Like the last of a dying breed. How do you expect me to tell my son what it means to be a brown boy? You can't fight a war on crime without casualties, brown boy. Your mere existence creates conflict. Because they'll fire 10,000 teachers, but they'll still have enough money to build jails. And you wonder why you end up in Congress. And what if you call the system if it wasn't working and you are most times the person that it works against? Brown boy, native son, invisible man. There is a war going on outside. I'm guessing this is where your training begins.
in our house when Prop 209 passed. I was propped in the middle as my pop's little conservative soldier in training. Back then, the either-or decisiveness of the political right, their dichotomous slicing of the world made sense to a 12-year-old. Who get to experience the complexities of life, like history and humanity and all these hues between black and white. Their principles just seem defined. Like the mathematics I used to love at the time, there was a wrong and there was a right. But as the problems of the world could no longer be summed up, son, I subtracted the cold numbers and began to write my own. And, well, you can't be conservative with language if you want to be red. Yeah, red? Okay. So I left it, blew it off, got a little bit more liberal with the wordplay, progressed to the other side and nested in the gray. On the way,
I picked up some slogans. I read some books, right? I learned to look a woman in the eye. That was a tough one. I learned it's okay to bring a man close to your chest and cry. Sweet honey in the rock, some poetry, a little dance, you know, a real sensitive guy. Which by definition, I guess that means I'm pro-choice.
When I was 15, I sat in a waiting room, sitting with the obvious choice weighing heavily on my heart, trying to look at ease as if my young, dumb, male ass had any other reason for being in the gynecologist's office. Other than her family had money. She was honest and told them they paid for it. I still haven't told my own mother. I told myself I was too young for it to count. 15. A baby was not an alternative. And son, if a woman feels like she only has one real feasible option, and it doesn't include a lifetime commitment on your part, it's not as difficult to be pro-choice.
A life inside my love, we drove to the clinic assuming a pill. A chemical detour to make the choice a little easier to swallow. They called her name and we entered. She lay back. The nurse applies a clear jelly along her flat brown stomach and slowly slides an instrument along her midsection. You are too far along to take the pill, she says. And she gestures to a little screen by the bed. We turn to see the baby. It was a tiny pulse of light that might have been a heart, glistening faintly. Was once an idea, safe as concept, swimming inside of her. Effortless struggle, hauntingly real. I should be overjoyed, instead my knees break in fear. The decision made before the baby has eyes to cry or lids to blink its tears with.
and why should a man have the right to tell a woman what to do with her body? That sounds great at a peace rally. But when you really father the child, you don't think you're ready for it.
And son, we just hope that we choose right. Because we choose to sacrifice. We choose to believe that we've been thusly chosen to produce life. We choose to ignore the voices vehemently clinging to the past with all of their might. And we might choose to run. Busting sprints like track stars in this rap race, you see. Running it with a black face without a daughter or a son is hard enough. But you ask a room full of black boys who their fathers are. You'll see of the choice to stay or leave. See, most are confronted by their own demons and enemies. And son, choice to go. But that always seems to be a popular one.
You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? What was your name? It couldn't have been Smith or Jones or Bunch or Powell. That wasn't your name. They don't have those kind of names where you and I came from. No, what was your name? And why don't you now know what your name was then? Where did it go? Where did you lose it? Who took it? And how did he take it? What tongue did you speak? How did the man take your tongue? Where is your history? How did the man wipe out your history? What did the man do to make you as dumb as you are right now?
Come here. Come see me. A brown boy's first and worst enemy. The nigger mentality. I live in a box in the center of the sun. It's the final lap of lux and I cannot see the leader. Trapped in the crosshairs of 13 heaters with a singular aim and like distant thunder, a voice raised. Boy, what is your name? My impulse is to obediently respond, but knowledge absconds. I've forgotten. Commanded to fact this place in memory space by images of picking cotton. Justified by his only begotten son. Apparently he was born with the block from where my carrier comes from. Ill conundrum, but paradox isn't new. And hold me confused. I'm very well trained. I just can't find my name in the bone white glare of this box, unlocked only by a key, lurking somewhere out there in the dark belly of the beast, marked do not touch. Without fail, I listen. It's not in my disposition to question what I've been told. I'm going on 6 centuries old. Ha! Ha! My lineage unfolds with hate. Hate was my great-great-grand. Had several kids, dispersed across several lands. Mad co-op. And then made manifest parties like division, murder, greed, excess. You see, greed had incestuous sex with his cousin Neglect from the West. A genetic defect produced, well, you could say an unfortunate deformity. They had a baby named Ignorance, who just could not see.
And Ignorance fell in love with Hate, who had by now turned in on herself, burnt within self, and to make your heart melt, there was a heartfelt connection between self-hate and ignorance. Came thence my racist parents, my parent, racist, traces of a seed originated with greed, so racist primary need was to feed on the hunger for eternity. Universal props, so we stop the T, substitute with the M, so forget the racist individual. I'm gonna be racism, an institution.
God complex delusion started cooling with my dad. Gave him dad. Told him you all of that, and racism got fat off his own PR. Said I'm the star of this show. Now here we go. He embeds himself in the cornerstones of all the new nations. Made himself chair of the House of Appropriations. Nothing was safe until chaste capitalism slipped into frame. Hey baby, what's your name? Racism spitting game because capitalism was a looker. She flipped it on him like he was a 2-bit hooker. He took her and shook her because Dad's way was violent. She looked him dead in the eye and Pops fell steady silent. compliant. She say,
Look, racism, we gon' do it like this. First of all, we gon' pretend that you don't exist. Then we'll tell the world to serve me a much more attractive interest, but we'll shake everything so we both benefit.
she headed in real slow. She kissed him on the lips. Pops nodded his head. It's been that way ever since. Shortly thereafter, they gave birth to my older brother, Slavery. A few years later,
Along came me. I'm actually glad I don't possess any of these family traits. I don't hate anyone except my carrier and his crew, but I do love my master and I worship his truth.
I must admit, I'm whipped weak by greed's fleet genes running through my core.
I got mounds of self-hate hidden behind closet doors of skeletons and secrets, wearing sins and Friedrich Nietzsche's brilliant theory.
And I grow weary, drawing defenses against self-constructed attacks. I try to relax, contemplate my link to ignorance, which really makes no sense, because I got knowledge, you know.
I know Timbo, Polo, Nike, Moschino, Nautica, Hilfiger, Versace, Vuitton, Dolce & Gabbana, Prada, Canai, Levi, BK, CK, DKNY, and Klein, Who Guess, Looks Like Goodness Bands. I know them all.
I know the ends don't justify the means.
I know God is rectangular and grayish green.
I know this ordo seclorum don't include me.
I know how to serve my dignity up on a platter.
Yes.
I don't know nothing else. I know how to serve my master.
I know how to run and play some faster and smoother than panthers and cougars and coons. Oh my, I know, sir, but I don't know why other minds inclined to design a system which confines my carrier and bind them to themselves with political ties for the sole purpose of promoting their own economic advantage.
I don't understand it.
I mean, we live on the same planet with these walls. They're like granite, and I cannot escape. All this light got me twisted, consumed by the favorite and invisible ink that my master slams my face.
My master eliminates all fiction. I would deviate never. I'd rather beat my head against the wall of a cell, trying to remember my name forever.
3 rows of 222 bird-eye-sized holes, calling gently, subtly, suggesting that in the dark might be a key, which gives my name back to me, but I don't want to be in the dark. 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 I don't want to be dark. I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I don't even want to be
The almighty nigga mentality.
Son, raising a brown boy is no easy feat. But I gotta be honest with you, a part of me was so glad I wasn't standing near a body of water the moment we heard you were gonna be a boy. I could have caused a tsunami with my sigh of relief. If there's any truth in the idea that God curses womenizers with daughters, then us hip-hop pimp player parents should expect an offspring orgy of Nicki Minaj's cursing their fathers. Like, this is how you made me, calling our mother's baby by substituting in bitch. I am now the bitch substituted as your baby! I mean, what did we know, right? Dr. Dre told us that there were ladies and there were hoes. And he only focused on the hoes. So we only focused on the hoes. And the ladies try to focus on the haze. It was all just in the haze. Focused on the feeling, and maybe if they played that real baby making music in the places that led us to making babies, you know, Marvin Gaye, you know what I'm saying, Luther Vandross, you know, even fucking Gerald Levert, maybe we can rightfully expect our girls to turn out like the music they were birthed out of. Subtle, gentle, beautiful, respectful. But the hip-hop masses have decided long ago that we don't go for that slow, long-lasting, soft shit. We like it fast and quick. We like it rough, loud and raunchy, crass and tactless, and in the months of uncertainty of your sex, I was haunted by ghosts of my hip-hop past, showing me hip-hop's future through the voice of some Cat Williams-esque pimp named Slickback, beckoning my daughter and her friends into the pearly gates of the almighty club like, I bet you like it rough, huh? You like it loud, banging, hard, pumping, whatever slaps, whatever makes that ass move, whoever screams the nastiest obscenities at you. Well, come one, come all, here you are sure to find someone who can freak you like the music coming from the speakers. I said it's loud, banging, hard, pumping, fast, but ultimately nothing that lasts. This is the lasting legacy of this hip-hop generation, where grown men call themselves little, and older men call themselves baby. Where Wayne called baby dad, and your baby dad think he Wayne. You think he gonna act like a man? He was just stunting like a daddy. He told you to call him Big Papa, not no father. This is a culture of one-night stands, promoted by one-hit wonders. Hit once and never wonder who she be, what she look like, what's the number, let me think, alright, it's the loneliest one you will ever see. He said he's trying to get to you and that booty, like it's two goddamn different things, cause who needs a true face? To provide comfort against the roughness, the shaking, the pain, the degradation, but for some reason it feels so good. It feels so exhilarating because, you know, Chris Brown, he's still making hits. I mean, he's still making slaps. I mean, he makes it pump. I mean, it's just something about that beat. Something about that beat. Something about the way he makes you move to the beat. Generation hip-hop, what got into these kids? This jungle music, jungle fever. The beat screams for something faster, something harder, something rougher, nothing deeper. It must be the way the music hits you. Wondering if you would just be another sister this trickster hits on. And now, knowing you're gonna be a boy, I'm scared you're gonna be one of these hitters. Son, please forgive us for our hunger to punish ourselves, for mistaking the wails and the moans and the hollers for that of pleasure instead of cries of help. We just liked it rough. And though you come from us, I don't want it rough for you. I want you to grow up like good music, son. And that doesn't have to be so hard. Like good music, you only gotta grow up so fast. Everything ain't always gotta be so tough. Son, I want you to grow up like good music. I want you to last.
Raised right foot is anvil heavy, hovering above the fateful step I cannot seem to take. 1, I am not married and am not going to marry your mother. You were clearly meant to be, and we were not. I cannot raise you under a roof of I have regrets, of we didn't start this as a commitment, of shh, don't wake the baby, of I'm having an affair, don't you dare use our son as a fucking pawn, of I'm tired of this, I never wanted this ravaging your sleeping subconscious. What kind of environment is that? And growing up, so much of what I ever saw or read said that you had to be married first to have a kid. And you can't grow up black and male and not know about the cycle of bleak statistics we in. You might be my sole truth in the midst of a self-composed creation myth. And the fact is, I can't live no more fictives. My raised right foot is anvil heavy, hovering above the fateful step I cannot seem to take. Silence. Wind, blowing harmony to the rhythm of insect night song. A tree holds the weight of a young man hung in her muscle memory. Weeps 41 leaves like libation. The city cannot support its tired, nodding head. Silence. Son, when I can't handle the truth about myself, I either avoid it or rewrite it. I decorate the ugly in metaphor. Bathe it in blue ink. I dress it up like a young boy at a summer birthday party. I lie. 3 months in the womb, I am wishing you away. Inside your mother, you are an emblem of infinite possibilities, but inside my mind, you are a symbol of disappointment. A gap between what I have spoken and the truth, or really what I've neglected to speak. Cloaked myself in quiet, no one ever accuses the mute of lying, and I'm wishing you away, son. So that I won't have to run, so that I won't have to look you in the eye one day and only think of damage done. I am in love, and it's not with your mother, and I have neither faith nor courage to say anything to anyone. Silence. I am nearly 23 when we meet, and it is perfect. She travels across a continent we struggle through together. Our love is a castle built for revelation. She is my Ailey dancer in perpetual flight. My night come to life, my light. It's hard, but the best things often are, and this is worth it. This is forever. It's perfect. And we journey around the sun twice. Manage to endure through the frustration of absence. Strangers tease us. Call us chocolate angels. Swear we only take our wings out at night because we too fly. Too high. Can't see solid ground. Too far to touch. Too used to the sound without sight or skin. And nothing will fuck up my principles like the scent of potential sex striding through the sun. 3 months in the womb, man plans, God laughs. I know this is no accident. The world is slowly starting to find out about you, and I haven't told her yet. Somewhere in the deepest, darkest part of me, I am praying for absolution in tragedy. You, an anonymous casualty. There are future muscle memories I am already trying to forget. Silence! Son, you are becoming more than a sum of cells, and I am losing my ability to articulate my world. Exiling myself to hell, and it hath no fury like what I fear might be her wrath, and we've been partners for years. I can't afford her the decency of exposing myself to her honestly so that she can decide and act. And the fact is, I know children are God's greatest gift. I know right now I'm confused, and I am ashamed, and I'm fearful. But I know in time, I will get over all of this. But how do you tell the real thing that you've been living a myth? Huh? Exactly when? What is the timing that is most appropriate? And if you would just go away, I would... It's all of these, all of these waves of emotion, all of these levels of destruction at a time of creation. I am being swept in by the undertow, high atop peak, Pacific Ocean, miles and miles beneath, anvil heavy hovering, heavy breath, my foot, my fault. Is all that I'm gaining worth the love I've lost? What kind of an asshole am I? Silently wishing for something to go wrong, silently been lying to myself all along. Silence. am no martyr. If everyone conceived and had children only when they were good and ready, there'd be like 3 people on the whole planet. In my soul, I know that there is no road where the silence ends and the line begins. Understand this. Comprehension does not atone for the bond I have disrespected and abandoned. I'm damaged, son. Am more and less than a man. Am not defined by these hefty words I might speak. 3 months in the womb, you are so fragile, and I feel so weak. Barely held together by a growing truth that settles beneath my feet in the glaring, glowing heat of my silence.
Somewhere between Mother Nature and the Father Time, there's a spiraling myth about a father forever chasing the rising sun. The Father is mythic and a mystic, a self-destructing missile, a monolithic image. Something he's supposed to be. His father, chasing the sun, like the horizon, rushing to the seam of sky and sea. She would give birth in water if she could. Our insurance says she can't. So we gotta compromise, you know. Natural birthing classes. Yep. They're real easy to come by in the Bay Area. Land of the hemp, granola, and all things alternative, if you know what I'm talking about. She know what I'm talking about. So it's almost our turn to share our feeling with the rest of the group. Everybody sitting in a circle. Our coach, Generation X, is at the chalkboard. Right? She writes, check this out. She said, drug-free vaginal birth. Say, bruh, does that say drug-free vaginal birth? Personally, knock me the fuck out. You know? But maybe that's why I was born this sex. You know? I don't quite possess a woman's strength. Her body is all stretched. Our baby's body is growing in length. Growing arms, legs, a chest, another head. God, you trying to do this drug-free? Okay, go right ahead. You know, be my guest. Because now I'm about to be a guest on the hot seat. Mikey. May we call you Mikey? Okay, thank you. So, by this time next week, you're gonna be a father. How are you feeling? Oh, come on. Why don't you share with us all how you're feeling? What the hell is this? I'm trying to answer this lady's question, I promise. But, I'm really back into a daydream of Mother Nature and Father Time. They're cracking riddles about a cat undulating his spine as he strides towards the sun in the east. He thinks he recognizes self in the rising, but he just cannot see. See, he's blinded by light. His life, like time in a dream, the place where relativity ends so long as we sleep. And somewhere I see 8 pair of future parental eyes, all on me, you know, everybody waiting to see if I'm feeling anything, you know, but what I'm feeling are the struggles of the pursuant father I see in my daydream. I'm feeling the visions of mythic men we see in solar mirrors as we sleep. God, I'm feeling damn good, actually. Because I'm gonna be a father. Did she say next week? Shit. To be frank, right now, I don't know now, all of a sudden, I'm starting to feel like I can't. And on TV, her water breaks in the back of the restaurant. Kanye West delivers the kid in the backseat of the Lambo. It's all over in 5 minutes. Cut the Jimmy commercial. Good night. In real life, the end is just the beginning. Birthright.
You arrive like Mandela released, like Judgment, Color After the Rain, Blackouts, Black Holes, Cursed Nights, Black and White Fictions. Welcome to the world. The end is just the beginning. Birthrights, Mother Nature, and Father Time making matter of fact and action deliverance. Hallelujah.
On TV, the wife grabs the husband by the back of the neck. You did this to me, you goddamn!
in real life, there isn't so much humor in the pain. I'm holding your hand, reminding you to breathe. And I notice death on the other side of you, whispering seductively in your left ear. You wonder out loud if it's too late to change your mind. If you still have to go through with this. If you have any other options.
She's Jesus on the cross. Alegua amongst waters. There on the ground. A warrior sojourn in sands. And it's been drama. But we're still here, right? Dedicated. Like the horizon to raising our son.
We are family for life. The end is just the beginning. Even when forced to breed, the human impulse, it impels us to bleed and sweat and serenade fuck yous to death. We are still here.
Ever stillborn, a Urugu twin, doubly conscious. Glory unto the Lord and the levitating morn. Don't you mourn, Martha. This is all it took for us to get this far.
Birthrights, blackout, black hole, whole earth, hold on and push and breathe and push and breathe. And yet, you are as young as the universe is old. Welcome back.
Birthrights, blackouts, black holes, whole earths, hold on and push and breathe and push and breathe and push.
You gotta move, my son. You got mountains to climb, skies to fly, seas to seas, from seeds to roots to branches to leaves. The deepest part of God's imagined possibilities, billowing like the willowing wind are one, our men must move.
So my son, Micah, is 2 years old now. 3 months before he was born, my grandfather died. 3 times in one night. He flatlined and revived. Slipped into a coma twice. The last time he came back bragging about this man-child he had just met in the after-death. After which his word became flesh. Became sacred text. The next testament, my first breath. My firstborn, a boy. And man, he looks just like my granddad.
They recently met inside of a revelation. While Granddad was doing orbital revolutions around his own life. The last time he was confronted at a crossroads by my son, of blood and bones and sacrifice sanctified. My granddad said, I can't wait for you to meet your son. And for the first time, I finally understood where the old man was coming from.
I believe in him. I must. There is a race to be won, and my people are losing. Past is prologue. Our epicenter is an ancestor's epilogue. An epithet. If we didn't ease our ancestors' burdens yet, he used his great-grandfather's death as a scroll to scribe a scripture. Whisk a man back to life with unborn whisper, my son, do you know who you are?
An ascendant descendant deciphered from stars. Intone the indescribable like a shadow, my son. We are men, bury nothing but bones, cry rivers of tears, deeply we run, a race to be won, a race to be won, guided like Harriet by visions of sugar plum, skinned, hung, thin, strange fruit, your roots reach deep. We men are men, our men, our mean, your deed, your duty, your destiny to shatter the ascendant, deciphered from stars. Your destiny to move like the way you move me. It's your destiny to move like the way you move me. I know you must move because of the way you.
last night here at Intermedia Arts. I really want to thank all the people, all the staff, all the crew, Sandy, Nicole, looking out for us. Thank you so much for bringing us out here. We appreciate all the help and all the work, and we appreciate you guys. Give a round of applause.